You would think all the issues I had with Pokemon Sword and Shield would have prevented me from sinking any more time and money into the title, but I could never truly shake the franchise from my mind. It was only a matter of time before I gave in and needed to scratch that itch I've had ever since I was a kid. I'm sure you know that feeling. Even though my video on Pokemon Shield was Assault Factory, it's not because I dislike Pokemon. I love these games and I genuinely think they still have a lot of uniquely wonderful things about each generation. And I know I'm not going to sway one of the largest media companies in the world with a keyboard, but I think there's so much more that game could offer than we actually got in the end. So, with that in mind, I tried to distance myself from anything relating to the main story so I could approach it from an unbiased perspective and hopefully have a pleasant surprise on my hands. The only time I want to reference the original game is if it's an improvement that I think needs to be acknowledged. So if you wanted my perspective on the base game, I'll recommend that video here, but it's not necessary. I mean, it's got nearly a minute and a half of a black screen. All you need to know is Gabagool is about to go on her next venture after becoming the most powerful being on the planet. I'm not gonna lie to you, the second I beat the champ on the original playthrough, I turned the game off and haven't touched it since. I know there's a second quest with the Dingus brothers, but I ain't here for all that. I'm just trying to jump right into the first expansion on offer, the Isle of Armor. I figure these expansions are gonna start off with the level 60 Pokemon because that was the general range we saw at the end game. I'm a little light in that department, but hopefully that might make this a little spicy. I'm also going to finally spend a few of these dollary dues to get some supplies before I head out. I'm going in with a clear mind, hoping that there's going to be a real challenge on our hands. We walk into Wedgehurst Station and see our first new character, Avery. Off the bat, there is so much more going into this character's design than anyone we've seen up to this point. So much detail went into his design, and these little asides where he talks to himself are genuinely funny. It's refreshing to have a unique character to kick off the story, and it feels like considerably more effort went into how it's all written. Also, we're just not gonna talk about how he can levitate Pokeballs? Yeah, that's okay. Seeing this Slowpoke hit me with the nostalgia I was hoping would bubble back up. Now you can finally see why they didn't have all of Generation 1 in the main game, so they can spring it on you in the DLC. And I absolutely love this transition to the island. The train stopping so a Corviknight can fly you outside of the usual map area has so much more character than any of the train conversations. Please, hop. Don't come back. Our first steps onto the shore immediately have us battle against Avery. 2 soccer balls and I win. This ain't looking so good in the old difficulty department, but we'll see. We'll see. Now that we're finally free, we get a huge breath of fresh air. Once I saw that Wailord, I said to myself, that thing is gigantic. I want to catch that. Not to mention that the coast is filled with so many sorely missed Pokemon. It is a little concerning that I can catch all of these on the first try with a quick ball, especially when I saw that the Wailord was 80. I mean, I'm not going to complain that I'm getting new Pokemon. It's just a little strange that this is going so smoothly. We run into a Diglett on the way forward and boom, hidden collectible side quest. Isn't that awesome? Getting an extra incentive to explore and pay attention to find these tufts of hair sticking out of the ground. Isn't it great to feel like there's more going on than the normal A to B storyline? We hit the dojo and jump slap dab in the middle of the story. It's here where you meet the master of the master dojo. You already know I hit him with the cheese to meet you. What, you think I'm not gonna say that? After the obligatory battle for clothing, you learn about the 3 trials. Off the bat, we have to beat these fast pokes because they stole Avery's clothes. Classic character origin story. You get out there and you see this construction lady that's actually a bike mechanic, and not only do they give you every single Rotom upgrade for free, but they change the bike and outfit color while giving it an unusual. We can immediately see that they took the time to listen to our complaints. It's like they're stripping away all the fat from the campaign and setting us up for an honest-to-God good game. We open up to a wetland area where these 3 Slowpokes are drifting in circles. At first I thought this was going to be a tactical race behind them to try to catch up game, but you could just chill in front of their path and they run into you. This starting area is incredible. The marsh opens up into a forest, cave, and beach area while we still try to grab these pink thieves. I can't think of a single time in the main game where we have 3 options to choose moving forward, let alone on our own volition. See, I saw this cave and I decided not to go through it because I already had the uniform that the Pokes picked. I actively wanted to move the story forward while I still had the option to do whatever I want. This is what I'm talking about. This is good design. You get back to the dojo, and before the next trial starts, they slam dunk 2 of the Gen 1 starters on you. I don't have a good Grass Boy at the moment, so I'm gonna go with Bulbasaur. With a new friend in tow, we now have to find a cluster of 3 max mushrooms. All we're told is that they can be found in dark, humid places. I wish they would have left it that vague so you could find it on your own, but Master Mustard takes us out to the forest so we can get a snapshot of the cave we need to go to. I mean, at least they didn't take us directly to the entrance. We get a nice chance to cut through the forest and I run into another construction lady. She talks about how much she loves her shovel, gives you a chunk of ore, takes it back to gamble digging for more ore, immediately breaks her shovel while losing the ore she was about to give me, and then she disappears. What's going on with you? You also run into the disciples and they flat out tell you that they're lost. Don't you live here? There's a bridge that takes you right out of these woods. You need to try harder. Hey, and wouldn't you know it, I even get lost by stumbling into the wrong cave. I cannot express how great that is, to be fumbling around in these different areas while the game totally supports me just doing my own thing and figuring it out. Finally finding the correct cavern, I find the mushrooms I need. Of course, old boy Avery decides to jump in and take them for himself. This is the first time we see a Kadabra firing a powerful, elegant, psychic move. Hey, I gotta say, man, this is pretty cool. Hey, yo, Chungus, do that thing! Everyone fails the trial except for me. Yeehaw. Now we need to make the Dynamax stew. But Avery comes in and somehow produces the mushrooms on his own. For a minute there, I thought he was going to give us fake mushrooms that would poison us, but no, he just also found some. This is weird because later he talks about getting on the straight and narrow and not doing any more underhanded tactics, but it seems like he just also accomplished the trial. Good on you, man. Don't apologize. The third trial is pretty underwhelming, just another battle against the psychic dork. It is pretty cool to see the Dynamax Slowbro, but you know how this goes. Victory earns us the secret armor. Surprise! The armor is actually a Pokemon. I love how much character they put into this introduction cutscene. It's nice to feel like a Pokemon isn't a weird plastic animatronic, but a teammate. On top of that, we also get the bombshell that now we can have our lead Pokemon follow us around out in the world. I still had my Wailord as my group leader, and buddy, I'm starting to understand why this feature is so rare in these games. But I would still prefer having this janky mess than not having any interaction at all. This takes us to our new task, getting the little dude to like us. It's important to know that the Cub Fu that we get starts at level 10. This makes him practically useless on our team for a good while. The task of becoming friends is a tricky one, but you can approach it however you want. They lay out a few viewing spots that grow your relationship, but the normal playing and eating tactic still works just as they should. The viewpoints are marked on your map, but they at least expect you to explore to find your way to them. I love this cave one. We're both just absolutely shocked to look into a pretty average looking cave. So I show him the sights, he's stoked, I'm stoked, classic friendship. Mustard then tells us we need to tackle one of the Towers of Two Fists. There's the Tower of Waters and the Towers of Darkness. You only get to choose one, and it'll change the nature of our boy Lee. Dope, right? Well, old man over here slightly hints that we should make sure our buddy is leveled up properly, and then he bounces. What he doesn't tell you is that you can only challenge the tower with the Cub Fu being the only Pokemon in your party, and the recommended level is 70. He was only level 27 at this point, and that was from all the XP share, so this began a grinding session that lasted 5 hours. I understand that 70 is only the recommended level, so I tried to do it at a lower level. I can basically one-shot the first 4 fights, but the last one is against an identical Cub Fu that is level 70. I didn't win until I was 71. The best grinding methods I could find was farming these Chanseys in the first area. I could one-shot them with a Brick Break, and they doled out over 10k experience where most other fights barely touched 1,000. This was annoying as they didn't have a guaranteed chance of spawning, so it was just in the dojo, check the grass, in the train station, check the grass over and over and over. Personally, I see two different perspectives on this part. The first one is that this is a monotonous grind that absolutely destroys the pacing of the dojo storyline just to face off against a manufactured brick wall encounter that did not need to happen whatsoever. The other perspective is that this is an intentional break to let you and your new Pokemon have a genuine old school red and blue experience. It's a story of getting a strange creature at a low level, and through your own patience and training and affection, you grow together and finally overcome a daunting obstacle. You're free to travel around the island and try out any number of encounters, learning your weakness and your strength, bonding over curry, and finally succeeding after all your training for a satisfying victory. Let's be fair, one of my main complaints with the main story is how easy it is to just steamroll everything, and this is a surefire way to stop that from happening. And I'll admit, I grew to really like this little dude. I knew that he was really fast but didn't have great defense, so a glass cannon approach was necessary. I don't know anything about the other Pokemon on my normal team, so I have to give credit where it's due. So where do I stand between these two perspectives? It depends on how I'm feeling. I'll tell you what, sitting on this here fence is nice and cozy. We reached the final battle for the third time, and it's a fight against Master Mustard. This animation of him finally getting serious is awesome. Most of the main characters in this expansion are really charming and fun to learn about. You see, I pulled a little sneaky on him and gave Lee a sharp beak to hold so his flying attack would do more damage. I mean, if the game's gonna brick wall me, I have no qualms with cheesing through it. Our reward for victory is showing our buddy the Scroll of Darkness, turning him into an Urshifu. This is sick. I love seeing the cute little guy turn into this giant bulky ninja bear. It hits that same feeling from back in the day when your tiny fire lizard transforms into a dragon. We head back to the dojo, but first Master Mustard says this cryptic line that I need to do what I'm meant to do before we can continue. I ask him to elaborate and he just quietly chants this to himself like some Silent Hill NPC. You're gonna make me finish the post-game story, aren't you?
One eternity later.
Look, I really like where this expansion is going, so I don't want to dog the main game again. I just need to run through each gym for a single Dynamax encounter. Hop keeps stealing the Dynamax chance and doing less damage than I can do without any help. Thank you again, Hop. Bulbasaur is looking a little... and it's really satisfying to see Lee all maxed out just one-shotting this giant ghost. This is also a great chance to point out how much more effort is going into the expansion. Look at the animation they put into Kung Fu after winning the tower. And now look at how they animate the legendary Pokemon that is on the cover art. For that spicy disrespect, I caught Zamazenta with an Ultra Ball. I'm keeping that Master Ball forever, baby. So we fight Hop, day saved, bada bing, bada boom. We return to the dojo. Oh look! It's Hop. Again. Good to see you, buddy. Turns out Lee doesn't like mushrooms, so he can't Gigamax. I don't remember asking him if that matters, but we are set on a quest. With Hop. To find something that will make Lee eat the soup. Hop immediately knows that it's nectar that we need to find, and we set off to get some. We find a stranded Petalil, and for some reason we decide to try to find its parents. I can't tell you how many pre-evolved Pokemon I have seen out by themselves and didn't feel any need to find their parents. Also, now you're telling me that these things have guardians, and we're just stealing them away to spend their lives fighting for entertainment? You probably should have kept this can of worms closed. Hop is frozen in fear, so of course we have to do this all by ourselves. I find it, slowly trail it back to the baby, and we get the nectar. Hop eats it and immediately knows it's not right, so we have to keep looking. It's like he knows he's just a side quest. We shake a tree and we get hit by an apple. Off camera, of course. Hop eats it out of my hair and knows it's not right. We're gonna have a talk about personal space there, cowboy. Finally, he gets the idea that bears like honey, so we should look for honey. We go to a honey island and fight a giant bee to steal its honey. No help from Hop. He's frozen in fear. Incredible work. With the new soup, we finally face our ultimate challenge, a real deal showdown against the condiment commander, Master Mustard. You want to know the best part about this? Is that Lee immediately goes down and doesn't get a chance to Dynamax. Also, I mainly wanted to see what my Cinderace would look like all Gigamaxed. This is everything I hoped for. Imagine if these transformations happened in the main game. That would have been nice, right? At the end of the day, it all came down to a twist ending. Not Zulin from my first story, nor Lee from the expansion, but that Bulbasaur nearly 20 levels disadvantage pulled off the ultimate victory. I knew I could count on you, Itoi, whatever. We all celebrate with soup, and Mustard hints at our next adventure. Someone talks to me about restricted sparring, but I don't even care slightly. See, this island has a lot of ups and downs, and it's not flawless or anything, but most importantly, it was an adventure. It has so much more charm and character in its first hour than the main game had in its whole story, and I am absolutely over the moon about that. We might be closing the book on the Isle of Armor, but we have a whole new expansion waiting just over the horizon. No pause in between, come on, let's jam!
Alright, we're here, just sitting in the car. I want you to show me if you can get far.